I can't believe that's a 50cc saw.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Pulling a 22-inch bar like it.
And what's that wood like?
Hard as.
That is a nasty, whole knotted up piece.
Yeah, I mean, look at that. Look at that, man. I mean, it's just all knot. It's all knot.
Ain't no rot either.
No.
You know, and that's a 22-inch bar. That's probably 19 inches from side to side.
Oh yeah, easy. Because I mean, if we go wide to wide.
Yeah.
Probably 20.
Yeah,
maybe.
21.
Yeah.
And it didn't care. It
Yeah.
didn't give a damn.
She runs, buddy.
Now, is that small enough for you in this tree?
Yeah.
Yeah.
With an 18 on that, I bet that'd be.
Oh my God, yeah. Yeah.
An 18 to 20-inch bar for chunking down poles. Yeah.
All right, I've heard so much shit about this 500i. I'm finally gonna get a chance to see if it's all true or not. Let's grab that 592. Stop You guys are a little bit better at sharpening chain than I am.
Well, I think your teeth are sharp. Your rakers are a little too far down. That's why it's trying to suck through the cuts so
It's
bad.
the same chain, so I've hit that a lot. I had screwed it up so bad a while back. It's hard to get it back to where it needs to be. Okay, guys, right out the gate, I gotta say, I understand that there was quite a bit of difference in the tree or the big knotty branch thing that we were cutting on from the time that we cut first with the ThunderKitten and then with the 500i. I'm not saying that the ThunderKitten almost keeps up with the 500i, but it almost kept up with the 500i is what I'm saying. No, I mean, to just go off of that test is what idiots do. You know, I'm not an idiot, right? That branch was like this whenever we were cutting ThunderKitten, and then we adjusted our cut to like this, so that gave it even more length and distance and stuff. Not to mention, you know, little things like the ThunderKitten's chain was dialed in, and it was really cutting really, really, really nice. I think the 500i, I mean, it had a nice, good, sharp chain. It was good. But I think a little bit more could have been taken off at the rakers. It was ultra smooth, all right? So let's talk about that. Yes, it had a good, sharp chain. Did it have the sharpest chain? Probably not. But neither did my 592. My 592 had a horrendously grabby chain. That's the same grabby chain that I've been using. Just keep on filing the tooth, hoping someday it'll be smooth. But finally, I just said heck with it. The other day, I went and I bought a brand new chain. I'm not going to deal with that crap anymore. So, but first impressions on running the 500i. It was super nice. My first impression was, wow, that's a super sharp chain, because I laid it on the log and then I triggered it and it just immediately cut through there. It just immediately cut. And I'm not used to that because I don't get my chains that sharp. I just can't quite do it. But then whenever I did the second cut, I thought, wait a minute. I don't know if it's that chain being ultra sharp and immediately cuts right in there, which it very well could have been that. But I think more than likely what it was, and this is where that 500i really shines, is due to the fuel injection, it was immediately at full power. And no chainsaw that I have ran yet does that. Some do it better than others, sure, but the very nature of a two-stroke, period, is to not build its power until really high up into the RPM range. And that's just the very nature of it, you know? It's not a diesel, it's a two-stroke. And so you have to have the RPMs high so that you can suck in as much fuel as possible. And that's where you're making your sweet spot. You've heard it talk about a power band with a two-stroke. Well, the 500i didn't seem to need that because you're injecting the fuel right directly into it. And that was awesome. That was awesome. So once I figured out that was what was probably going on, then I loved that, right? That was great. Just immediately, right off the rip, it was digging in. That was great. The other thing that I noticed right off the bat is how smooth it was. The anti-vibe on that saw is the best I've ever felt. Never felt anything as good as that. It was amazing. It felt so good. Power. Yeah. I mean, it's an 80cc saw. It's an 80cc saw. It has the power that I was expecting. It may have more RPMs than what I typically am used to whenever I'm running a great big old saw, an old 85cc saw, like my Poland 5200. Felt like it had just as much power as that 500i, but now the 500i is going to have tremendously more RPMs. So, it cut really nice. Really, 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 really nice. And as a felling saw for bigger trees, when you're felling trees regularly, 20 inches plus or 24 inches plus, yeah, it felt really great. But is it the magic? I mean, you can tell by my facial expression already. Is it the magic saw that people like to think that it is? I don't think so. But then again, I just got to cut a few cookies with it. That's all. It was really lightweight for the power that it had. It felt great. I can't say that enough. But, I always have this thing, and Tim out in Iowa, you're the same. Is it that blow your mind power that you're looking for? No, it is not. Is it the best thing that's 80 cc's? Yeah, it is. The idea that people lump it together with a 72cc saw is just dorky, if you ask me. It shouldn't be classified even as a 70cc saw because it's 80 cc's. Not because, it makes too much power, it's in a league of its own. No, it's 80 cc's. It's 79 cc's. That's, in anybody's world, that's 80 cc's. That's why whenever Dino Joe did the dynos of all the 70s series saws, he kept that and the Dolmar separate because it's not even fair to compare. These things are small. Even a big chainsaw is small. So it's not fair to compare a 72cc or 73cc to a 79cc. That's a big jump, all right? And it's a big jump. That's like comparing a 200cc dirt bike to a 250 cc dirt bike. It's like, no, oh yeah, they're kind of sort of in the same league, but not really. So, anyways, I thought it was great, and I really liked it. Did I think that it was this absurdly powerful saw? No, not at all. I mean, it was what I expected from an 80cc saw. It's great. It did run really good, and I was really able to crank on it, and it didn't bog down. But what do you expect? It was only in 20-inch wood. I mean, yes, that is big wood, and it will test a saw. However, an 80cc modern saw, fuel injected, should perform the way that thing performs. And that's really it. I mean, the 592 handled its business, even with that horrible grabby chain. If you put those two saws, people like to say that the 500i is the fastest saw that's out there. It probably was until the 592 XP came along. And, the 592 is bigger, stronger, faster, and it should be. It's also heavier. It is. It's also heavier. But if you take those two saws, the only condition to where I can see the 500i winning as far as power is concerned, hey, niceness and running it all day kind of thing, yeah, that 500i is nice. I'd rather have that as a failing saw than a 592. But as far as power, the only situation that it wins in is and it's a maybe, is in a situation to where you're cutting really small wood, like say, I don't know, 10 inches, and you got a small bar and everything, and then that saw has no real load on it, and it can reach the RPMs. You can really reach the RPMs, and the 592 might be hindered in that way. Maybe. I don't know. But all I'm saying is, for what they're made for, those saws, I mean, that 500i to run a 20-inch bar on it, I feel is defeating the purpose of it. That's a saw for failing big, pretty big timber, And so you're going to have a 24-inch bar on that at least. And you're going to be cutting a big chunk of wood. If you're cutting little wood, get a little saw. So, but my point is whenever you have that in mind, big bar, big wood, both saws, same chain, that 592 is going to win in any situation. So, but is it as smooth? Honestly, I can't tell you. I can't tell you because I've never had anything but that grabby, stupid chain on the 592, except for whenever I did the Woodsman whack off, and that was 3 cuts, just meh, meh, meh. You can't, and I'm pulling on it as hard as possible. So I still have yet to truly be able to use that 592 like the way that it should be used, just going out and cutting wood with it. It's always been some sort of little test. Otherwise, it's still got, well, no, I did mill with it, and I did cut down that tree with it. Anyways, I guess that's enough. But how about that ThunderKitten? The tree was bigger. You were closer to that curve, and it was bigger whenever we started running the bigger saws on it, but not by that much. And so, as much as I'm going, hey, I'm not saying that the ThunderKitten is in the same league as the 500i. I do have to go, hey, let me point this out for you. That was the same effing branch that they were all cutting. And that was a 50cc saw compared to an 80cc saw compared to a 93cc saw. And that little ThunderKitten held its own. I don't care if the wood was a little bit bigger for the other saws. I don't care that their chains weren't quite as sharp as the ThunderKitten. the fact that we can even sit here and have this conversation that the 50cc saw was part of the race. It's just outstanding. It's outstanding, you know. That is a really strong running 50cc saw. But you know what I regret now after editing this and stuff, I really regret not having grabbed the direwolf. It was right there and putting it in the wood. I really regret not doing that. It was cutting great too, man. I mean, so what I've been doing with those steel RS chains is I've been sharpening them at the angles of the Husqvarna X-Cut. And it's working out. Those things are cutting, like really cutting good. We'll have to maybe do a test of that someday. But before I end, I didn't get to do the 50cc circle jerk the way that I wanted because weather was getting bad. The winds, there was gusting like probably around 30 miles an hour or so. And the trees were moving. And, you know, TJ, poor guy, he's up there in that tree trying to limb it. And it was starting to get dangerous. It took a lot longer than we thought. He thought. And so we didn't get to do the full-on 50cc shootout that I was hoping for. But there will be a tomorrow. So, or at least I think so. Anyways, that's enough of this. Hope you guys have a grand day, and I hope you like the Sunday circle jerk.